You could say that I like to intend and I like to get good results, and there's nothing wrong with that. But where it goes a little wonky is when you feel like you need to control someone's response to you, and you don't. All you got to control is your response to their response. It takes a little practice, and it comes from satisfaction, this game, because when you're reaching for alignment or mutuality with your inner being, you'll find it easily. And when you're reaching for it with others, you find it in varying degrees. In other words, sometimes they're tuned in like your inner being and it's easy. These are the variables. Sometimes your friend's tuned in and you're not. You're not going to find mutuality unless they join you down here, in which case they will hate you. Your inner being is here and you're here. You've got to relax your way into a higher vibration in order to find that mutuality. If you're finding mutuality with someone who's here, in other words, you've deliberately focused with them, and so neither one of you are connected to your inner beings, you might feel we're there for each other, but no true satisfaction. And you just got to give that up, because nobody's right where you are. And so you just got to selfishly go for what you're going for and expect that you're going to get it. And once you start getting the hang of that, you won't find nervousness. Nervousness is about you wondering about what somebody else thinks. And so you just sort of have to play with it a little bit until you're confident about what you're doing and where you are. This conversation is about turning thoughts to things, and conditional living is only looking at what's already been turned into a thing, living my life, taking those things, experiences, situations, relationships, piles of money, blah, 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 all that manifested stuff, and putting it in piles of good and bad and right and wrong and wanted and unwanted, and trying to control that, as compared to understanding that I'm a vibrational being who wants to control, we'll use the word control because it applies, wants to control my vibrational output. Because when I control my vibrational output, I then control the vibrational input that law of attraction delivers back to me in response to my output. Because I get what I think about whether I want it or not. Conditional living, conditional life, is looking at all the conditions and trying to evaluate through a lot of hard work and effort what's right, what's wrong, and then trying to control the wrong ones and make it more right, so that I can just be lazy in my thinking, so I can just be a sloppy thinker. Because right now, if I'm a conditional creator, when I see something that I think is a good thing, I feel great. Good job, people of the world who are doing that. But if I see something I don't want and I feel bad job, segment of people of the world, you need to be different. Hey, other people of the world, want to join forces with me and help me make them be more like you? Oh yeah, because we're conditional. We'd all feel better if everything was just the way we want it to be. Only problem is, you want different things. You came with different intentions. Your life has caused you to put different things in your vortex. That's not the path to happiness. That's the path to heavy lifting. That kind of control is hard. You want control of only one thing, your own vibrational output and its relationship to the true leverage of the universe, which will give you a feeling of invincibility and empowerment that gives you the energy that creates worlds that you can focus through you for your masterful creating. So let's walk through some of this and let's make it practical. So you experience some contrast, and you are wise to say, I don't know how it happened. I don't know why I'm part of this. We will say, because you're a creator wanting to gain control of your vibration regardless of conditions. Because trying to control things with conditions, or trying to control conditions so that you can feel a certain way, will lead you down a dead-end rabbit hole. That's not what you want. You want to understand that it's a vibrational thing, not a control thing, and it's a controlling of vibration and only yours, not a controlling of outcomes or anybody else's vibration. Because you care about this, and you want to know this, and you want to master it, and your inner being knows you want that, you attracted a perfect experience in order to cause you to launch some rockets of desires. You see, things are always changing, but if your vibration doesn't change, then things just change to more of the same, because everything's always changing. This is an important thing to know. If you're on the satisfied side of this, rather than the dissatisfied side of this, then one thing leads to another and leads to another, and you get lots of momentum, and the general intentions turn to details that the universe then provides, so that the people that are making decisions are being inspired by a force that they don't really understand, and it's just turning out really, really well for you, to the point that other people around you might be wondering how you ended up with that, because why are you more deserving than they are? And it's simply because you, from your state of satisfaction, were able to grow, evolve, thoughts becoming more into more detail that was not resistant in nature. Now think about law of attraction and what you know about it. Law of attraction meets you where you are, and the momentum of it, when you think a thought and you hold it for just a little bit of time, another thought like it joins it. We're talking about seconds, 16 or 17 seconds, and then another, and then another. And once you cross that 68, 69, 70 second mark, now you've got enough momentum going that some different things are coming to you. But most people are satisfied, dissatisfied, satisfied, dissatisfied, satisfied, dissatisfied, 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 dissatisfied. And it's all right, because in the same way that you attracted the experience in order to be clear about what you want, you really attracted this experience in order to gain control of your own vibration. And so you could have gotten some control, and you could have stayed more satisfied with a little bit of caring to be satisfied rather than dissatisfied, which is the, for sure, logical way that almost everybody on the planet would go. And so your satisfaction factor is pretty far away from where you hang out on a pretty regular basis. And so when these thoughts turn to things, isn't it logical that the things that those thoughts turned to were like the way you'd been feeling? You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You cannot have a satisfied ending to an unsatisfied journey. You just can't. So is your inner being wanting to beat up on you for not being satisfied when you could have been? No. Your inner being knows that in every moment of dissatisfaction, you were putting more clarity into your vortex, way more clarity. And there will be a time of manifestation, not so far from now, when you will realize that all of the details that these experiences have caused you to focus into being are now a reality in your experience. But it is all dependent upon how satisfied you are as you're moving along, the bursting into real life. Every single moment is a manifestation. Did you know that? Right now we're having a manifestation. This room is a manifestation. Our relationships with each other is a manifestation. Everything here is a manifestation. This conversation is a manifestation. It's a manifestation of who we are and who you are and who they are as influences. And manifest, 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 because we're seeing it and we're hearing it and we're smelling it and we're tasting it and we're touching it. This is manifestation. And the manifestations will continue to improve, to be commensurate with the satisfaction that you insist upon finding in moment after moment after moment after moment after moment. Sometimes when we tell this to people in a less evolved way, this was really good. Sometimes what they hear from their distorted viewpoint is, oh, Abraham just wants me to be satisfied with what is. They just want me to put up and shut up. They just want me to pretend that I like it so I don't bother them and others. That's not what's going on here at all. And you worry sometimes that if I don't complain, nobody will do anything about it, when the opposite is true. Your complaining holds you in steady decline or deviation from wanted, while satisfaction holds you in steady improvement on every single subject in your life. That's how you get so you can hear those impulses. You've got to stop the contradictory vibration, which allows your vibration to rise, which puts you in the same compatible vibration that allows you to be in the receiving mode of the brilliant ideas that your inner being is offering to you all day, every day. And that's the control you've been looking for all along. Let's call it control. Let's call it leverage. Let's call it life force. Let's call it replenishment. Let's call it balance. Let's call it flexibility. Let's call it intuition. Let's call it good timing. That's what that is. And just by reaching for the satisfaction that hooks you up with that, you get all of that in one bundle. And the advantage is enormous. Or you can do all 22 processes every day. You can find relief from that, and relief from that, and relief from that, and relief from that, and relief from that. But you know, when you work your way up the emotional scale in those ways, rather than just going right into inspiration, it takes more time, because then another subject happens and you have to work your way up. And then another subject happens and you have to work your way up. It is exhausting. But it does validate a belief that you have, which is it takes a lot of pain to have gain. And it does validate a belief that you keep active that says there must be sacrifice if there's anything to be received. And that's the part that we know that you and a lot of others don't believe. You don't really believe in your worthiness to receive just because you're you. The proof is sort of in the pudding, because you tend to believe what's happening. Wayne Dyer wrote a book. Esther didn't read it, but she loved the title. It was years ago. We encouraged Esther not to read any books, because then she'd wonder where she was getting stuff. So Esther hasn't read a book hardly ever, ever, ever. She can read, but we don't encourage it. But his book was, You'll See It When You Believe It. Because most people want to see it and then they'll believe it. But he said, you'll see it when you believe it. And so you don't have to believe all that. You just have to believe that your inner being is listening and that you can feel when you're tuned in. That's the only belief you have to have. My inner being is awake and aware of me, flowing thoughts and ideas to me. I can tune to it. Satisfaction is the key. That's it. That's all you got to know. If there's not enough juice in that, and for most people there isn't, Abraham, this is way too simple. I want my $225 back. This is way too simple. This is way too simple. This can't be right. It's not complicated enough. I need way more charts, way more graphs, and a whole lot more pain for me to accept it. Well, what are you going to do? Is there anything about your life or anything about what we've said or anything that you can think about that is absolutely satisfying? Do you think that in this conversation we made you wrong? That wasn't what we were going for at all, because we don't see you as wrong. We see you as right on track for what you want. And we see you asking questions and being willing to have this conversation, which is opening a whole lot of doors for a whole lot of other people. Yes? So, can you find something satisfying that you could just focus upon? Because actually, we are in a pretty clear space here together. This is almost as good as meditating, because we have held the vibrational frequency and we've focused it your way. You're kind of under our influence right now. You really feel failure when you have the eyes of Source upon you? Now, you have elicited from us something that we've never said to anyone. This is really, 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 really good. Your inner being always looks where you're going. You want to be of value to your friends? Always look where they're going. Never look at them where they are. Always look where what's in their vortex is. So the reason that it feels like failure, best question ever, seriously, is because your standard is about the manifestation, not about the process. And you've opened this process that's made it possible for us to deliver an explanation that has gone beyond anything that we've ever explained before, which is benefiting people in ways that they've never been benefited before. So from our perspective, this was an all-time successful conversation that we've had, and thank you so much for it. But your current evaluation is, because it hasn't manifested in the way you want it yet, that it's failure. And that's the whole point. That's the point of every seminar that we want to offer. And you just helped us make that point in a way that's better than we've ever done it before.